Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the channel. This Saturday is UFC 268. It's an amazing fight card, and in the co-main event, we are getting Rose Namajunas defending her strawweight title against Weili Zhang in a rematch from April of this year at UFC 261. And this video is going to be my full breakdown and prediction of this fight. And I'm going to be doing a bunch of other predictions for UFC 268, so keep an eye out on the channel for that. The ones I already have done, I will link in the description if you want to go check them out after this video. So this is like the first rematch for this channel. And what I mean by that is this is the first rematch where I've done a prediction video for the original fight. So Weili Zhang versus Rose Namajunas 1 was one of the first prediction videos I did on this channel. And it's awesome to be able to go back and look at my analysis then and look at my prediction from then and figure out where I went right, where I went wrong, and kind of, tweak it to see how I feel now for this rematch. So, first off, let's look at the tail of the tape. Before I get into all that and then my prediction, let's look at the tail of the tape. Rose Namajunas is 29 years old. Weili Zhang is 32. Rose is 5'5", while Weili is 5'4". Rose has a 65-inch reach, and Weili has a 63-inch reach. So Rose is a little bit younger, a little bit taller, and has a little bit better reach. Let's look at Weili Zhang first. So she's had an amazing career. She has 2 losses in her MMA career. One was her first ever pro MMA fight. The other one's to Rose Namajunas when she lost via head kick KO at UFC 261 earlier this year. I could not believe it. What a fight by Rose Namajunas to just come out there. I think the only thing she really absorbed in that fight was a couple inside leg kicks. Then she just lands a picture perfect head kick right on Weili Zhang's jaw, puts her to sleep. Ground and pound finish. Ref pulls her off. Great performance. But let's look at some fights before that for Weili Zhang. Before that, she fought Joanna Jędrzejczyk at UFC 248, and that fight was one of the best fights I've ever seen. And without a doubt, that is the best women's strawweight fight ever. There's no doubt about that. I mean, it was back and forth. It was crazy. Joanna had that big lump on her head. And eventually, Weili Zhang wins via split decision. I thought Weili won the fight clearly. I don't remember which rounds I scored for her, but I just thought she outstruck Joanna, and it was just an overall great fight. Before that was her first title defense. Now to gain the title, she went out there and destroyed Jessica Andrade in the first round. I mean, she just steamrolled her. There's no other word to describe what Weili Zhang did to Jessica Andrade to grab the title than just steamrolled her. She just went out there and destroyed her, TKO'd her very early in the very first round. Before that, she had a win over Tisha Torres by decision. Before that, she beat Jessica Aguilar by submission. And before that was her UFC debut against Danielle Taylor. So Weili doesn't have a very long UFC career, but she's fought a lot of great girls in the women's strawweight division. Not everyone, but I mean, Tisha Torres, Jessica Andrade, Joanna Jędrzejczyk, Rose Namajunas, and now Rose Namajunas again. That's a great list. It's not like the strawweight division is so deep, and she's already fought a lot of the great girls in the division. A win over Joanna Jędrzejczyk means a lot, and that fight was incredible. Joanna's a great striker, and it really proved a lot about Weili Zhang's skill set. We had a little bit of questions up until that point, at least I did. And then after that fight, I just really thought Weili Zhang was the real deal. And I actually picked her to beat Rose Namajunas in the fight back at UFC 261. I'm going to talk about my original prediction right before I get to my actual prediction for this fight. But then let's look at Rose Namajunas before I get to that. So Rose Namajunas, what a career she's had. I mean, she came in on The Ultimate Fighter. She made it to the finale, and she fought Carla Esparza for the first ever women's strawweight title. She was submitted via rear naked choke in the third round. Carla Esparza's wrestling was just too much for her. Before that, she actually had a loss to Tisha Torres and Invicta. Then Rose Namajunas goes on to beat Angela Hill, Paige Van Zant, Tisha Torres in a rematch. Then she goes on to lose to Carolina Kovacevic by split decision. It was a very close fight. But after that, she goes on to beat Michelle Waterson by submission in the second round. And this earns her a women's strawweight title fight. And she fights Joanna Jędrzejczyk at UFC 217 back in November of 2017. And going into this fight, a lot of people were just so high on Joanna Jędrzejczyk. They thought she was going to destroy Rose Namajunas. And I have no way to prove this. I did not have a YouTube channel all the way back then. I was one of the very few to pick Rose Namajunas to beat Joanna. and I swear I picked her by knockout. I just thought, she had that unorthodox kind of flashy striking. Meanwhile, Joanna had that super technical, kickboxing background. I just thought Rose was going to catch her and put her out, and sure enough, she did in the first round, drops her, ground and pound follow up, and just finishes her. And what an amazing performance! A very similar situation to what's going on now. Joanna Jędrzejczyk gets an immediate rematch. And I love this because this second fight was allowed to play out more. When you see a quick KO in the first round, you kind of start to think, oh, we really didn't get to see the fight. Maybe the better fighter didn't actually win. In this second fight with Joanna Jędrzejczyk, Rose Namajunas outclasses her, beats her. I don't remember what I scored this fight specifically round by round, but Rose Namajunas clearly won in my opinion. I know Joanna made a bunch of excuses, but Rose Namajunas beat her and she outclassed her on the feet very handedly. Then she goes on to fight Jessica Andrade. And I picked Rose Namajunas to beat Jessica Andrade as well. I just thought she was the far superior fighter. Unfortunately, after winning for, the first round or so, first round and a half really, she gets into a grappling exchange with Jessica Andrade. She looks for a submission, and Jessica Andrade just picks her up, spikes her right on her head, knocks her out cold, and Jessica Andrade takes the women's strawweight title right from Rose Namajunas. Then Jessica Andrade now has the title, goes on to defend, her first title defense against Weili Zhang, and that's when Weili Zhang destroyed her. Uh, After that loss to Jessica Andrade, Rose Namajunas took a little bit of time off. By the time she came back, Weili was the champion. Jessica Andrade was no longer the champion, and she rematched Jessica Andrade. And this was a 3-round fight. She won via split decision. I thought she clearly won 2 rounds to 1. She won the first 2 rounds, lost the third round. But had this fight been 5 rounds, I think Jessica Andrade probably would have won this fight. She was really coming on strong, busting up Rose in that third round. But again, it was nice for Rose to go out there and avenge a loss. And after she avenged that loss against Jessica Andrade, she gets the title fight against Weili Zhang from UFC at UFC 261 April this year. And, I want to talk about my prediction for that fight at UFC 261, one of the first prediction videos on this channel. And I picked Weili Zhang. I think I picked her by fourth round TKO. And I just thought, she had so many tools that, Rose was going to fade and she was going to eventually get finished. But Rose Namajunas just proved me so wrong. And I've had trouble really picking this fight just because, I really like Weili's skill set. But Rose, how can you bet against Rose? I mean, to beat Joanna Jędrzejczyk twice and then to KO Weili Zhang, avenge her loss against Jessica Andrade. Pretty much at this point, the only person she has to avenge a loss against is Carla Esparza, which I believe if she wins this fight, that will be next for her. So she KOs Weili Zhang at UFC 261 in this year. And there was some debate whether or not this rematch was going to happen. I thought it was kind of risky for the UFC just to throw Weili Zhang back in there against Rose because if she loses, now she has 2 losses to the current champion and she's kind of in, no woman's land, I guess. What are you going to do with her now? She has 2 losses to the champion. And then you have that weird situation where you have an elite fighter who's not going to be champion, but you don't really want to match her up with up and coming contenders because then she's going to knock all them off. So it's a weird spot, but the UFC, they love that market in China. Maybe they're hoping for a Weili Zhang win, and then we can get a trilogy. I think this is one of the best women's fight they can make. So I was actually kind of excited they booked this rematch, but I'm a little bit nervous because really, if Weili loses, she's kind of, irrelevant to the division. She's still an elite world-class fighter, but she'll be kind of irrelevant to the division. So let's get into my prediction for this fight. Honestly, I'm being dead serious when I say I'm still flipping and flopping around with this, even as I'm recording this video right now. I want to say Rose. I want to pick Rose by first, second round KO, TKO. I just think Rose is so fluid and, her striking just looks so good. And she's one of the very rare strawweights that has that one punch, one kick, knockout power. We've seen it against Joanna Jędrzejczyk. We've seen it against Weili Zhang in the last fight. But at the same time, it's really hard for me to ignore all my thoughts and analysis going into that first fight because Weili Zhang got caught. And again, that's skill. It was skill for Rose Namajunas to catch her with that head kick and put her unconscious. But at the same time, the fight didn't get to play out. And I really would have liked to see it play out a little bit longer and to see how it went. So it's really hard for me to say, oh, Rose is definitely going to go out there and finish her again. She finished Joanna in the first fight and then they rematched. It went to decision. And I really think the longer this fight goes, I really favor Weili Zhang. So you know what? I'm going to go out on a limb. I've been going back and forth on this prediction. I'm going to stick with my earlier analysis from my original prediction video. I'm going to go with Weili Zhang via fourth round TKO. And here's how I think she's going to get it done. I think Rose is going to win the first, maybe the second round. I think Weili's going to be extra careful now that she knows. She knows the power that Rose Namajunas possesses. She knows that she's super rangy, she's super unorthodox, and she has like flashy striking. So Weili's going to be super careful, avoid her early. Rose Namajunas' stamina, she tends to fade. She faded in that Jessica Andrade fight. And had that second Jessica Andrade fight been 5 rounds, there's no doubt in my mind that Jessica Andrade most likely would have won that fight. Uh, I think Weili has decent power herself. She has great leg kicks. She has a great arsenal of attacks. And I really think she can beat up Rose. She can kick the legs. She can play it safe early on. Let Rose kind of start to tire out a little bit where that power isn't as strong as it once was. Then she can really start to come on with the combinations, the body kicks, the clinch, really start wearing on Rose. And Rose is a girl, and I said this in the first prediction video as well. When things are going good, it's going good for Rose Namajunas. But when things are going bad, it's really taken a turn for the worse for her. It's almost like she doesn't want to be there. When she started getting beat up in that third round against Jessica Andrade, she really did not want to be there. And I just think this is going to happen in this fight. She's going to have success early. First, second round, she's going to probably win those rounds. But as she starts to wear down and as Weili starts to beat up the legs, kick the body, clinch her up a little bit, I just think that Weili is going to eventually be able to find a kill shot, put her down, not knock her out cold. I don't think Weili really has that out cold type of power unless she lands like a knee in the clinch right to the head and like a Muay Thai clinch or a flush shin to the temple, something like that. I don't think that's going to happen. I think she's going to catch her with the hands. I think she's going to beat up the legs, beat up the body, catch her with the hands in around the fourth round, third or fourth round, put her down, follow up with ground and pound strikes, and TKO her and get the win. And then eventually we are going to see Weili Zhang defend her strawweight title again against Rose Namajunas because we will get the trilogy if Weili Zhang wins this fight. Again, I'm not super confident in this. I flip and flop back and forth. I think if Rose Namajunas wins, I think she knocks Weili out again or TKOs her in the first or second round. But if it gets by that second round, I think Weili finishes her in the later rounds or potentially wins a decision. I just think Weili is so skilled. And I know, it's hard to ignore that first fight. It's hard to forget that perfectly placed head kick on Weili. It's really hard to ignore that. But I'm going to go with my initial thoughts. Maybe I'm going to be right. Maybe I'm going to be wrong. I'm going to have a post fight. We're going to talk about it. I'm one of the very few people who, when I get something wrong and blatantly wrong, I love to dissect it and talk about, where my thought process was off. And I'll do that. We'll be doing a live post fight for UFC 268 immediately following the fights. And I really can't wait for this fight. I think Rose Namajunas is a great fighter. I think she has a very good chance to win this fight. But Weili's combinations, her speed, her power, I just think it's going to pay dividends in the later rounds. And I think Weili has better stamina. But Rose has been off, since that original fight back in April. So she's had a decent amount of time off. Maybe she's worked on that stamina. She's had a long time since she's even gone, 3 rounds. Really, last time she went 3 rounds was in July of 2020. So a very long time ago, about a year and a half ago, just about now. So maybe she's worked on that cardio. She knows that's her weakness. She has Trevor Whitman as a coach, so he's addressing her weaknesses. You have so many great fights on this card, and Rose Namajunas can get the win. Weili can get the win. I just can't wait to see the fight. And no matter what happens, I like both of these girls. I love Rose Namajunas. I love Weili Zhang. I hope to see them fight again in the future, and that's partly. While I don't know who I'll be rooting for. Honestly, I don't really usually root for a fighter. It's very rarely that I am. I just want to see a great fight. But obviously, if I'm going to root, I'm going to root for who I picked for just because I want my pick to be correct. But, I try to make these picks. Well, I do make these picks. I don't try. I make these picks off of what I truly think is going to happen. It's not who I like. I like both of these girls. I can't wait to see this fight. It's going to be an amazing fight. I just hope it lasts a little bit longer than that original fight. But again, I'm going Weili Zhang third round TKO. Actually, no, fourth round TKO. I'm going fourth round TKO. I think she gets it done, and I think we see the trilogy. Guys, do me a favor. Make sure to comment down below. What's your prediction for Rose Namajunas versus Weili Zhang? Don't forget to like the video, and thank you so much for watching.